Hey everyone, welcome to today's math lesson. Today we'll be talking about wants and needs in terms of what we need in everyday things. So, just to know, wants are something that you need. I'm sorry. Want is something that you do not need in order to survive, and a need is something necessary in your life. So something that you do need in order to survive. So something that's very important. And you have to remember, it doesn't. Just because you think something is important doesn't make it something that is a need. So needs are a little bit more important than something that you would want. So here are some examples of what I'm talking about. So some needs here, an example would be the house, or a shelter, because it is necessary to live inside of a house. You do need to go to school. You need to go learn. Fancy shoes, is that a need or a want? Do you need fancy shoes? Not really. It's more of a want. You can have regular shoes, but not necessarily fancy shoes. How about a birthday cake? Is that a want or a need? That is a want, right? Because I guess one big difference that I can explain is you need a birthday cake for your birthday. You want a birthday cake for the rest of the year. The sun, do we need or want it? Well, we should need it because it is an important part of our lives. A bike. I guess here bike is it depends if you need a bike to go to school or if you need a bike. Oh, sorry, my cat just stepped on my mouse. It if you need it to go to school or if you need it to get to places, then it just depends. For me, it would be more of a want. I don't need a bike. Shoes. Do you need shoes or do you want shoes? You definitely need shoes in order to get around, especially right now since it's so hot. Water, is that a want or a need? That is definitely a need. Every living thing in the world needs water in order to survive. And bed, is that a want or a need? That a bed should be a need because you need some place to sleep. If you can't sleep comfortably, then you wake up very tired, so it defeats the purpose of sleep. So kind of explain it with money. That we've been talking about money, so one way to explain it is that the income, remember, is the money that you earn. So the money that comes in is income. So there are two ways to spend your money. You can either spend it on something that you need, so basic necessities, what we kind of talked about earlier. Rent and food is also included in that. You personally may not be paying rent right now, but someone definitely pays for housing or your house. So that is definitely a need, and you need to when you're an adult, you need to make sure you have enough money for your shelter. If you're either buying your house, or if you're renting a house or an apartment, you definitely need to count those. And want. So, you want, but you could live without. Some other examples would be, video games, computer games, apps that cost money, things like that. So honestly, this is spend and this is spend, but you don't need to spend it, if that makes sense. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about some more needs and wants. So food and water, is that a need or a want? That should be a need. Video games, is that a need or a want? That is a want. You can have video games, but you don't need them. They're not, they shouldn't be number one. Ice cream, is that a need or a want? Now, don't make this a trick question. Just because you like ice cream doesn't doesn't mean it's something that you want, that you need. It is more something that you want. How about clothes? Do you need or want clothes? You need clothes. You need clothes in order to protect your skin and things like that. A house. We talked about this earlier. Is that a need or a want? A house is a shelter. A shelter keeps you safe. So, a house is definitely a need. How about shoes? We'll just do shoes in general. We won't do fancy shoes. Is that a need or a want? It's definitely a need. How about earrings? These are kind of fancy looking earrings. Do you need earrings? No, you want earrings. So if you have enough if you've saved up enough for them, then it would be a good idea. But also, you also have to make sure you also have enough for the other things that you need to spend on. Do you need or want a Pepsi in this case, or a Coke, or a soda? You don't need it, but it's definitely a want. Remember, you need water. And probably juice as well. I would probably have it as a need, because a lot of juices have vitamins and things like that. Sodas, not so much. There's maybe a couple sodas that have vitamin C in it, but they're not as nutritious. Alright, so there's some things that a lot of other classes in a few years have not talked about, but I think there are some changes to needs that we have. So, now that everyone has more access to the internet and things like that, there's definitely a need for a computer. There's definitely a need for a phone, or a cell phone. There's a need for an actual phone. This is what the phones look like, and you may have seen these in your classrooms as well. And this is internet. You need internet as well. So in order to just not only to just entertain yourself, but to communicate, since that's what pretty much a majority of the world uses and to keep in touch with each other. So what I would argue is, when does a phone become a want rather than a need? Well, right now you're going to enter first grade, so do you need a phone? Not necessarily. Probably not something like this. Something that your older sisters or parents have. You probably don't need something like that. You may have something a little bit more simpler, but I think it's best to kind of figure out what your needs and wants are before you get a phone, because you can make some purchases on your phone that can spend a lot of money, so you got to be careful with that. Internet, I think it's definitely a need. Definitely a need. Just because that's the way people are working now. That's the way people are using it to watch things and things like that. So it's not just to watch things, but it's also to get information and things like that. Maybe, and definitely communicate with each other. So it's been pretty neat. Back when I was your age, the internet was more of a want rather than a need, because not everyone was using it at the time. A computer as well. A computer is kind of the same thing as the phone. There's sometimes where you need it and sometimes where you want it. So right now, I would probably, since we're all, mostly stuck with online classes, I would say that it's a need right now. Alright, everyone, I hope this lesson helped you figure out what are some needs and wants that you have. We will also talk about this in one of our meetings. So, that is our lesson for today, and I will see you next time.